Into picks and bans, Illaoi, Malzahar, Kassadin. No Gangplank yet, but slightly non-traditional bans for some slightly non-traditional teams.
I mean, the only non-traditional ban here would be Kassadin. I mean, yes, you can call Illaoi a non-traditional ban in a meta context, but obviously against the Unicorns, it's proven that teams that leave it open game 2 quickly change their mind. Game 1 quickly change their mind in game 2. I think Shen is a great ban too because it allows Unicorns to play this very scrappy style where Vizicsacsi can truly shine as a side laner that then goes into a global guy joining the fight. That's hearts.
Yeah.
Alright, camera guys are going really crazy with their shots today.
Being inventive, getting excited by the volume. And Nivea the last ban, so Nidalee still up and available, Vlad,
yeah,
Karma.
It's interesting. Banning the Nivea out against Exileh here. Yes, he's played it, but maybe Betsy is just looking for good Swain matchups because I think he's fine playing into Vladimir whenever Swain's open because he still seems to like the champion.
Yeah, Betsy had a lot more success with Swain earlier in the split. Obvious thing to say when ROCCAT was still winning games, so...
I mean, it helps that the champion doesn't get nerfed to the ground as well.
That too. It's what, 5-6 patches away now? Yeah. But still going back to it, still a comfort pick for Betsy and the ROCCAT squad.
I mean, if this was a normal game, here is where many teams are considering Karma Sivir as a first rotation. But ROCCAT, they don't really like the range support as much because Raze has been heavily trending towards that Alistar, you know, just make high impact champions. Karma Sivir would actually be negated because the Nidalee is open. This is also a surprise because with all these non-traditional bans, Nidalee crept through, usually on permaban status. So we need to see can Memento as a solo queue jungler bring the Nidalee experience to the stage. Nidalee in professional play is quite similar to how she performs in solo queue because it's very tempo based, very camp based, you know, outpace your opponent then go for ganks. Need to see how it slots in there because it's technically not an early aggressor.
Yeah.
It's more of a strategical play where you kind of suffocate the enemy's jungle as opposed to going for straight ganks after ganks.
But it's also a jungle champion that you can clearly see a divide between good Nidalee players and great Nidalee team players because ROCCAT can also play around that champion very well.
Definitely, they need to, but they have been playing this scrappy style, right? And Nidalee doesn't really slot super well into a scrappy style unless she gets a lead. If this Hecarim gets locked in, though, the jungle matchup is one we need to track. And it gets locked in because Hecarim is a super binary jungle. If he gets ahead, he will stomp. If he doesn't get a single kill in the early game, he is utterly useless. Like, people don't respect you or your damage. Like, Hecarim needs to be at the point where you can continuously kind of all-in threaten AD carries and mid laners.
Yeah, yesterday, if memory serves, Spirit picked it up in game 1 of the day. Managed to get himself a couple of kills early, went for Trinity for second item rather, and then just fell off. Really did not manage to put himself in a good position. Unicorn's still going to lock in their top laner and their ADC. ROCCAT, where do they go from here? They know the jungle, they know the support. Also looking for really all of their carries. Yeah,
he's still back going to play that Caitlyn. Has been banned against him a couple of times. Has some range. Limited mobility though. Caitlyn not the greatest against Hecarim either. If Vladimir gets to you, maybe a problem.
Same problems with Jhin though.
Jhin has similar. Well, technically, if Jhin gets close enough to the fight, he has the same problems. Technically, he could stay all the way out and just go over the place. I like Steelback's Jhin because he's just really good at aiming stuff.
So hard to follow.
He really needs to iron his shirt. Yeah, great player, but
is that his? I mean, should Sheepy be on top of that? Really? I mean, we expect more from a coach of his caliber now.
That depends on the coach shot calling, you know. Sometimes you divide and conquer. Sometimes you just take it for the team.
Well, the last 2 picks here for Unicorns, Ashe and Irelia.
Yeah, he's so scrappy, you know. I like it. A lot of crowd control effects. Utility AD carry on Veritas, which has always worked for the Unicorns. Carry champ on Vizicsacsi. Let's check out the lanes. Braum Ashe is fine into Jhin Alistar. Probably has a slight poke edge, I would imagine. Because Braum has more ranged poke himself with the built-in Q. He doesn't have to commit. Alistar can never, like, he doesn't have conditional engage. Either he goes in or he doesn't, you know? That's kind of it. And then the Irelia GP matchup, however, is won early by the Gangplank. So we need to see if Vizicsacsi takes it, and Move may go for like a 3-camp gank. Something Nidalee players don't really do, because Nidalee Gangplank doesn't set up ganks that well themselves. That could actually be an interesting thing. If it's standard lane and Move goes for a 3-camp, skip, scuttle crab, instant gank, they could actually snowball top lane. You need to see if Memento can break out of the farm pattern to maybe then see that one coming.
It also just feels like a slightly like mishmash team composition here from ROCCAT. They've got some poke with that Nidalee Jhin, barrels from Gangplank as well, front line of Swain, Alistar, so
They're playing
quite difficult.
They're playing a 1-3-1 with a carry jungler. That's essentially what they're playing here. In fights, yeah, it looks like a mishmash, but again, you know, that Swain's going to go to a side lane, strong duelist. The Gangplank's going to go to a side lane. Remember, when the map is open, they can always have the cannon barrage come out to kind of neutralize one side of the map and then play strong on the other one. Whereas Unicorns, depending on what Vladimir ends up running here, he's running Ghost. He can play on a side lane, but usually you see teams kind of transition into a more of a 4-1. While technically Vladimir can split push, he will then be down a teleport, and there's an additional global on the side of ROCCAT. That may prove difficult for Unicorns to deal with in the mid game.
Let's see whether or not ROCCAT have the control. I know where the fans here are voting. You guys jump on Twitter and let us know who you think will come out ahead. Unicorns of Love running the power pony Hecarim, cosplaying themselves, if you will.
We are horse unicorns. Like it's a very important in casting that enunciation is clear. I feel like we need to bring that to our chants too, because like the only thing I hear with these headsets is like we are horse unicorns.
So I'm very lucky that right in front of me there's this big banner that I can read what I think they're saying. Fear our horns.
Unicorns.
The irony is unicorns only have one horn. So it's plural.
Unicorns have multiple horns.
Because there's 5 of them with 1 horn each. Right. Yes. Okay. Okay. See, I didn't get that far ahead.
I know counting's hard for you, Trevor. Great.
That's why I do play-by-play.
That's why you got to become a play-by-play.
I know my limitations. I try to stick within them.
And you do it great. The runner brought the candy.
Yes. But how are you going to eat candy and cast at the same time?
That's where the mute button. So we talked to you guys a little bit about all the buttons we have. We have volume. I can also just mute myself.
Oh, by the way, please don't, because I want to hear what you have to say. We'll actually do a caster desk behind the scenes on Facebook Live a little later today. So I'll actually show some of those buttons off.
Great. You show them buttons, Trev.
Yeah.
Let's look at the matchup. Standard lanes, which is great, because we really get to track his jungle matchup. For Vladimir into Swain, it's very important who gets the first push. So Betsy will want to walk up and zone the Vladimir out. The Vladimir's purpose here is to stack that Q up until he gets the bonus Q, where he can then get a really aggro trade onto Betsy. But Swain usually has the control on the first level. If he yields the push, Swain is actually really put behind in this matchup. So it's very important that he gets to push level 1.
It seems to be the case for at least that first couple of minions. We catch a glimpse of the Australia lanes up top. Hilly and Veritas going toe-to-toe, Steelback and Raze.
Okay, that was a good trade, because Chachi got an extra auto attack in. Gangplank has good trades like level 1 and 2 on Vizicsacsi here, because you can always auto Q. You know, once the battle comes in, you have additional zone. Irelia can never close the gap on you. So this early matchup is definitely in favor of Gangplank, unless the Irelia can like find an all-in.
I'm keeping my eyes on move as well, whether or not he's going to go for that 3-camp gank part that you talked about, Krepo. And very good trading here from Parang.
I mean, he's definitely not, because did he start on bottom side? Let's watch his trade here. It's getting close here every time. Because red buff and Raptors are down, which means move started bottom side and he actually passed to top. So I think that's a bit of a mistake. I think you should always influence bottom lane. Same for Memento. He's gravitating towards top lane at the end of his clear. Mostly because you never want to start on your bot lane side yourself, because for lane swap situations it ends up screwing up your pathing. However, it means both junglers are moving away from bot lane in a super influential matchup.
Yeah. Could tilt the control of the game, but not the case. Vizicacsi's already back. Jumps down, eats a barrel for his troubles. Should be worth pointing out that Infernal Drake is the first opportunity, but here comes move.
Yeah, look at the wards. There's no vision just yet. Honestly, Parang is super overextended here.
He really, really is. Flash your way. Devastating charge. Equilibrium strike. So well played by Move.
I mean, I have to go back here and check where did Parang place his ward, because it's not been there for absolute ages. Did he place it in a lane brush somewhere?
While you're taking a look, back on screen, Betsy and Exileh just trading back and forth. The ward is apparently in the bottom bush, which is what the observers are trying to show us here.
Oh, I was looking at my screen, so like, it's kind of sad for me. Observers like, Krepo, it's right here.
They actually zoomed in to really just answer the question.
Hang on, he's here again. So that's a big mistake. Parang can't play that far up, and you can't use your ward for like lane dominance, because you never have a chance to see Hecarim coming, and Hecarim will always go by your ward because he can't bypass any walls. So that's really poor communication from Parang with Memento. Like, if you want to play that far up, you need your jungler to shadow your lane. If it's the same thing that happened earlier in the series between Splice, I believe. where they overextend. And now Exileh's going for a bit of a trade here on Betsy.
Yeah, but look at Hylissang. Hilly's coming in. Flash and Ignite's available. Ignite's burning. Javelin toss tags Hilly on the backline. Exileh flashes forward. Second kill for the Unicorns of Love. Memento's the target. He gets stunned up by those concussive blows. A devastating charge sends Move flying forward. But Memento's able to flash over the wall.
Yeah, great roam here for Hylissang joining in. It just gives Exileh the liberty to play over-aggressive. This combo essentially won't mean much because Hylissang always has a shield available. Unicorns, again, very dense as a unit, playing well together. But we have to kind of criticize Parang there for the way he approached that lane. Yeah. Move could have been there at any given point. Like, Unicorns, ROCCAT had no knowledge of where he technically was on the map. I don't think he showed anywhere. I didn't see any pings on him. So he could have been there 30 seconds earlier, 15 seconds earlier, 15 seconds later. To play that far up against an Irelia that can extend his dashes with 2 lane creeps, it's too much. Betsy are completely unaware, and at this point, I think the best play for Betsy is to flash up over the wall? I don't know what he's doing there. Yeah, I think he was trying to bait the fight into Memento, but I think you just flash over the wall there if you're Betsy. Save W for the counter flash, and you actually live. So, individual misplay from Betsy as well here.
Memento's able to pounce over the wall after he flashed away, though. So at least not giving up even more, but Unicorns 2 kills up, plus 700 gold, looking at the lane. With the exception of mid lane, they're looking great in top and bottom. Oh yeah, they're doing great. Like that roam from Hylissang was fantastic. I'm just a negative Nancy, so I always look at how players die as opposed to how somebody else kills them. Like, glass is always half empty. Yeah, somebody must have always screwed up if you're dying, right? But it was a great roam from Hylissang to peel away. Wave was in the right spot for Veritas to keep solo farming. He didn't get caught by an Alistar either, so good job by Unicorns as a team for getting those kills. Very good start. Maybe going to shake the confidence of ROCCAT ever so slightly, considering they got their 2-0 yesterday. And now Betsy has to deal with this wave push, really quite far away from him. I hadn't actually noticed myself, but Steelback and Raze had opted into this lane swap. So we're going to slightly delayed lane swap here. Yeah, Veritas fell behind a little bit on CS. He based on the bad timing too. He got a pickaxe, so he just says like, I'm not returning to that big mean bully Steelback. I'm just going to go and join my team here. Split the map here. Exileh, bad trade. Like, this is obviously the power of this matchup. Vladimir can never all in this Swain. That's why Betsy always has a CS lead, despite being down a kill here. Very dominant counter pick. Yeah, very well played. But Betsy has to keep that up the entirety of the game. Push that lead further, make up for the deficits in the other lanes. All right, what do you make of this lane swap, plus the literally free dragon here for Unicorns of Love? Lane swap is just, you dodge out of a bad part of a matchup and you split the map here. I think it's the right thing to do. That's something we saw actually Fnatic neglect to do in many of their games about 3 weeks ago. Analyzing them a lot, it's like, you know, why did you guys, swap out his lane instead of getting bullied once you run back here? Because if this Ashe returns to the lane and we're looking at a level 6 spike on this Jhin Alistar and Hylissang uses summoners somewhere else, like if you as a support use your summoners to get an advantage mid, if you return back to the 2v2, you are now weaker in that straight matchup. So what you do is, you remove the 2v2 of the equation, you split the map 3v0 on one side, 0v3 on the other side, you wait for your summons to come back up, and then at the end of that trade, you still hold that mid lane advantage that you managed to acquire. Well, I like that. Clever planning. Assuming you don't make any more mistakes. That is crucial. It's a bold assumption. That is crucial. It's also the main reason I lose a lot of my games. Like, in theory, this is the correct play. I can't help it, my R button happens to be momentarily broken. I knew you were going to say that. Before the show, we were talking to, was it Vitality backstage? Oh, Hylissang. Oh my god, yeah, he watched that game. I made a sickest play, dude. I went in for like an E with Leona, and then I predicted a flash, and I landed ulti exactly where the guy was going to land. Forgot to press the R button. The guy killed me, so a bit unlucky. The reason that I love it is Hylissang was in the backstage makeup room actually making fun of Krepo. What, did you forget R button? Was R button not bound? What was the problem? Yep, nice flame. It was good, it was good. It made me smile. Karma paid him back, he lost his games. Yeah, exactly. Don't mess with Krepo. Yeah, yin and yang, see? You throw out that negativity. It's got to be positive all the time. The irony of you saying that. Sorry. Oh, there's the Hawkshot. Let's play Hawkshot Cam. Hawkshot Cam. I feel it's very tragic. It is. So we magically conjure these birds that have a lifespan of about 6 seconds, and then they die. I think it's actually quite brutal. It reminds you to enjoy everything that is beautiful in life. Does see everything that you can see before you're sent to... Before you die? Yeah, before you die, basically. All right. Hawkshot. Kind of promoting tourism here.
Visit Berlin, by the way, guys. LCS Studio is nice. A lot of good tourist places, great food, great beer.
And next week the show's on Saturday, Sunday. So come spend your weekends with us. It'll be fun, promise. A lot on the line.
Cheap flights.
A lot on the line. As is Hylissang's life for now. Javelin toss. Decent stand behind me. Cannon barrage 2. Throw everything at them.
Yeah.
Even the curtain call. Right, tag number 1. Flash away. Body block on Exileh. One more bullet left. Goes all the way past. Exileh's in trouble. Transfuse will buy some life. The Hemoplague heal comes back up. And somehow, Unicorns walk away.
So the Unicorns walk away because this, in essence, this would be a good play from ROCCAT if it was predetermined. But it felt like every second global spell that got added to this mix was kind of done impromptu. Like, they were not following a recipe to make a cake. They were just throwing stuff in there, you know? It's like, now some eggs, now some flour, you know? And obviously, the cake fails. Because I think if they open with Cannon Barrage, then wait with the Jhin W until Hylissang uses his W himself, he'll be snared, they can follow up, curtain call, they can get 2 trailers that, like, kind of help. And that way they can clean up. But here, one by one, they kind of keep layering these globals, and Unicorns just walk out. You know, Exileh had pool available, I think, all that time as well, so they were pretty safe. Good escape here by Unicorns, though. Yeah. Having each other's backs, leaving no man behind.
No, not this time round, and allows Unicorns to maintain a semblance of control in some of the lanes. The problem is they are losing CS, right? Betsy's plus 15. Down in the bottom lane, Steelback is around plus 12, 13 at the moment.
Yeah, and the Unicorns are following that pattern again in the mid game where they group a lot, and this is where this Alistar pick is actually great from Raze because he can always combo in.
That's exactly what he does. 2-man knock-up onto Hilly and Chachi. Flash away from Hilly as he moves towards support. Nice from the crowd. I agree. Unicorns make their way out despite their attempted siege on that tower.
Yeah, and they keep grouping here, but Move is having issues farming and making picks. Look at it. He's 20 saves behind in his Nidalee matchup despite getting the first blood. And that's a bit the story of the game here. You know, individual lanes are falling behind in CS while trying to make these plays.
All right, but where does Memento go with the lead? That's the real question. He's got the Runic Echoes sitting on nearly 1,000 gold. And he's got this kind of interesting team composition. So there's the possibility to assassinate really quickly. Javelin toss plus Jhin plus Swain.
You go into enemy jungle and you find the enemy jungle, you take away his camps. Take away his hopes, take away his dreams, and then you kill them. That's Memento right there for you. But he needs to establish vision. Basically, he wants this 1-3-1 from ROCCAT to come in full motion here. Basically, ROCCAT need to swap Jhin into mid lane. But this is something they always do too late. ROCCAT's lane assignments have been one of their largest blockers so far in the season. Because if you watch their games, especially from the last 3 weeks, they could accelerate the game. But they always have Betsy lingering in mid too long, maybe waiting for an extra item here. And it kind of inhibits Steelback from having a large effect on the game. Look at it. They're going for this pseudo 3-man siege here in the top lane, but they can't. They know if they play from the center of the map, that way they can get a larger impact. Just put Betsy on the side lane with the teleport.
We'll find out if they actually decide to do that, when they do. For now, ROCCAT are going to peel their way back. Grab themselves the Rift Herald. Betsy, very good route on the never move.
Yeah, and he could technically do this in any side lane too. Like, nobody's going to come and gank him. Even 2v1, he can probably live for quite a while. So ROCCAT then again go for a cross mapping. We see a bit of a scuffle for this.
Yeah, Raze actually flashed for this one. Memento pounces in for the Herald.
Yeah, Memento never wants the buff. If ROCCAT takes the Herald kill, the enemy team can't pick up the buff physically. So it's not a race for whoever picks it up first. Yeah. It only goes to the team that has the kill credit. So he was willing to trade his flash for a potential Herald buff denial.
I'm just more surprised he was willing to go in for a Rift Herald. To try deny that from Chachi's Irelia.
I mean, it's quite important because Unicorns only have one true split pusher, so and Chachi will face the strongest challenger between Parang or Betsy later on, and obviously making Chachi weaker makes it easier for ROCCAT to at least have members that can take him on later on.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Cost Memento and Raze their flashes at the end of the day. Exileh steps over the never move this time around, still holds on to Hemoplague. And I'm looking at itemization. Swifty Boots removes Hecarim, and the makings of a Trinity Force first item. So it's going to be a very squishy horse.
But look at Steelback and Raze on the sideline. Like, they can't overstand, they can't aggressively push out because the threat of the arrow is always there. Like, they should definitely be in the mid lane right here. Because it also throws off Unicorns of Love composition. Because they don't technically have anybody that really likes being in the side lane themselves. Like, Ashe in the mid game wants to be mid 2, but Vladimir with Ghost can operate in the side lane, but he much prefers himself to be mid 2. So if you can force the Unicorns to kind of be stuck in this awkward position by actually opting into your favorite composition, which is the 1-3-1 as ROCCAT, then you can start playing the map beneficially. TLDR, Betsy go bot.
So we said that around about 12 minutes. Going to keep track of how long it takes Betsy to move there, if at all. 1 tower to 1, just from that early trade, or that sort of delayed lane swap. And for the time being, Exileh dancing with the laser bird. Betsy slowly running out of mana.
Yeah, because another element of that thing, like the whole like lane assignment strategy, like while it may sound boring for everybody, like it has like minor impacts on different players too. Like imagine if there's a strong 3-man core in the mid lane. It really allows Memento to much more easily weave into the enemy jungle and start doing move, you know, locking him down. And you get deeper vision, get more control of the map here. Memento just spaced. He based on 2,000 gold, so he just spent that for like an NLR, Ruby Crystal, and boots. So now he is really at a strong point where you can start really dueling people out 1v1.
Yeah, 75 CS, very mobile, very powerful. Ocean Drake is up as well. And it feels like the Unicorns of Love are pushing their way there. Teleport's available for Chachi, so he can join. And there's a couple of wards, but not super deep.
But look at Chachi having the edge on the Gangplank. That shouldn't actually happen in this matchup in the mid game. It's due to the mistake and obviously Chachi's mastery of this Irelia pick that he now has the edge there in top lane. Parang is still paying the price for that overextension and lack of synergy with his jungler.
Plus 40 CS is what Chachi's been able to earn from that play.
And we waited long enough for the Dragon to come up here, so Unicorns, they don't technically get punished for, again, playing this dense style, because they have Ashe grouping with Vladimir to at least to contest an objective. The ROCCAT, they have the right lane assignments. Let's see if they can play around them now.
It took about 4.5 minutes longer than we were hoping.
Yeah, but they don't have deep vision, so they don't have any setups for Parang's teleport. Gangplank isn't really the assassinator, but if there's a ward behind Unicorns of Love somehow, Betsy could go in, you know, for the flank from Swain. But that's not really happening right now.
Well, the question is now, how do these next few minutes play out? ROCCAT, if they keep themselves in a 1-3-1, somehow ROCCAT have to thwart Vizicsacsi's Irelia from continuing to snowball just to crazy levels. And Unicorns are going to get an uncontested Dragon. So this isn't, it isn't terrible with the fact it's Ocean, but it is a problem for ROCCAT the later this game goes.
Yeah, just people honestly underestimate the power of early Dragons, because Ocean is actually really good, in my opinion. Now, Betsy's overextended here, lack of vision. Ooh, Mad Life by Hylissang.
Flashes into the Glacial Fissure. Betsy's able to sidestep the arrow, not before he's forced to run away. Hilly's in trouble. Flashes defensively.
That was a really dope ulti from Hylissang, but there's just a lack of damage here. Move afraid to commit, and Betsy combined with Cannon Barrage, as we talked about, you know, winning the side lane. This is why ROCCAT's strong on 1v1. It's really hard to take down a Swain on a side lane, especially when you at least have a global to help him.
Yeah. Betsy. 159 CS. He's going to become the shining light here for ROCCAT.
And now Betsy has a lane prior on bot lane. Alistar and Nidalee can move in for vision. Once that vision is there, Betsy can more comfortably play up again. You know, he can push in, teleport to mid, teleport to top, start playing the map globally. This is what ROCCAT want to achieve, you know, numbers advantage in different lanes.
I like seeing some of the control from UOL. They didn't dive too deep. This time, though, Exileh and Chachi, no diving Parang. There is a flash available. Chemo Plague, flash forward from Chachi. Chachi gets a kill.
Yeah, ROCCAT putting all their eggs in the bot lane. And Parang, without his ultimate staying top, you know, he's getting cross-mapped here. Really good read by Unicorns, isolating him and taking him down. Now Steelback has to kind of show up, go for emergency wave clear. Unicorns immediately move to mid lane too. They're moving away from ROCCAT's strong side, and they're taking more on the other side of the map.
But there's a teleport from Betsy into the mid lane. Here comes the Ravenous Flock. Unicorns of Love running for their lives. Javelin toss onto Raze. Raze throws down the Unbreakable Will. First kill of the fight onto move. ROCCAT, they're on the board. Chachi sidesteps a Javelin toss. Raze fancies a shot before he's forced to back away.
Yeah, and there was no Cannon Barrage in that fight. It was still down on Parang because he still had rank 1 only. So imagine if that whole thing happens, you know, teleport from behind from Betsy with Cannon Barrage. That's how ROCCAT are going to win these fights in the mid game. It's flanks, it's surprises, it's a wealth of crowd control that Unicorns can't deal with.
Couldn't deal with Betsy just yet. Betsy continues to apply pressure onto Exileh. King out the wave clear. Exileh needs to be close to this wave to take it down, but ROCCAT, they don't commit. We're getting to 20 minutes, and this game is still very, very even.
Yeah, it all depends on who gets picked off, you know, and greeds a little bit. Unicorns is playing on strong on both mid and top. You usually can get punished here. Look at the curtain call from Steelback too, you know, really holding that last shot, waiting for a move to start getting into predictable pattern. Then he gets sniped out. Now the remaining Unicorns, remember, too weak because their mid laner Exileh was not in that fight.
And this Hecarim pick, yes, it got first blood, but not because of the champion, I feel.
I mean, he just walked bot with no vision.
Exactly.
If the enemy top laner wards in lane, yeah.
I want to see where Move uses his ultimate. We've still not seen that on Solo Shadows. He's kind of been a little cautious with it the few times there have been opportunities. But it could be a game changer if he can get to Steelback or Memento and allow Unicorns to win that.
Needs to ghost flank on Steelback, really. That's the only target he can go for. Maybe Memento, but junglers don't really want to duel each other in fights. They want to, as a jungler, you want to take out a higher impact target, you know?
Yeah.
So don't be chasing supports like Spirit did yesterday versus Splice, because then obviously they will turn around the fight.
Oh, he's
Parang's dead.
Oh, I see. We were following the Hawk shot instead of the fight.
I mean, he's really getting murdered in this matchup. It's the GP Irelia matchup is a very subtle one. It has an edge on Gangplank, but obviously if jungler influence snowballs Irelia on a play like Vizicsacsi, he will take over the game.
That's exactly what Chachi's trying to do. 201 plus 55 CS. The outer turret mid. That falls short. I think the inner turret top's under pressure as well. Vizicsacsi is just becoming a monster. And for ROCCAT, they're 1-3-1. It comes undone.
Yeah, because they're getting continuously pressured in. The 1-2-1 gets attacked very easily in the setup phase. Once it comes to fruition, that's obviously where the payoff is, you know. But it's a very, very open strategy where there's a lot of holes to punish. Let's see, Parang here gets his barrel taken out, and then it's just, yeah, this is just a fed Irelia.
Wow.
It's all in. And that's Irelia's gameplay pattern, you know. If she gets ahead and she can all in you, she wins. If she gets punished enough, she can no longer all in you, and you will always lose the back end of that trade.
Tough thing to watch here for grabs. Another series that starts off badly for ROCCAT.
Yeah, but it's the same problem throughout so many of these games here. We need to start questioning like the coaching, because like the lane assignments is key in League of Legends. It's like the basis, it's the foundation you build on.
And sadly for ROCCAT, they only got to it a little late. It's especially true when you look at the composition that they put together. You know, playing those side lanes is so crucial. Javelin tosses keep connecting every now and again. Memento's got that Rylai's completed as we go past 22 minutes. But it doesn't really matter just yet. Memento on this pick, forming up a storm, 106.
Yeah, Chachi's challenging his barrels here. All right, Parang, yeah, he's not doing enough damage with Pet and Chachi, and then Betsy shows up, is like, hello, and he walks away.
Do not want. Chachi's strong, he's not that strong.
Yeah, he's not going to 2v1, obviously, but he's done his job. You know, we healed 2 members, which means the rest of Unicorns can play carefree on the other side of the map, because they're essentially playing the map 4v3, and with this much CC, it's almost impossible to get caught out. That's what Vizicsacsi needs to do. He's holding back right now, hoping somebody shows up to clear out that wave. The second one creeps dies here, he's going to be like, okay, nobody's going to show up, and going to take the farm. Yeah. You always give it 1 creep. Like, your play can cost you some farm, but not more than 24 gold. Like, you still want to maximize that GPM.
That's the cutoff, right?
Cutoff.
That's the cutoff. More than 20, it's a 25 gold, I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to go forward for that.
What are the odds on that play? Like, it kills like 300 gold, 25, so it's like 1 or 12, you know?
1 or 12, okay. That's pretty good. Obviously, Sheepy backstage. Pretty happy with how the early game has gone. Now we see how do UOL press this advantage, right? They've got a super strong side lane Irelia, who is 30-40 CS away from flame horizoning Parang. And they've got all the engaged tools they need with Hecarim, with Ashe.
Yeah, look at the reaction from ROCCAT. They're swapping in their second Pokemon. Is like Parang retreat, swapping Betsy instead. You can try now. Because as we talked about, Unicorns don't have a secondary split pusher. They're really going into this whole 4-1 style. They have Ashe fixing side lane sometimes, but she's not really putting a lot of pressure here. So ROCCAT have the choice of 2 members that can deal with this Irelia.
But at some point, oh, look at that. Okay. That was interesting.
Basically, arrow hit him so he couldn't press Q,
right?
Which means he cancels the combo. So he's not, but his W animation was already started, which means he just knocks back move.
So important to note, Veritas did flash as well. And that could become important.
Yeah, now Betsy has an option to just go in for a flash or race king for a flash combo. Look behind you, how Trevor TP.
All right, Vizicacsi's looking to deliver. Exile's already on the front line. Steelback's in trouble. This time round, the onslaught of shadows delivers Steelback to the fountain. Chachi throws Memento there too. Raze has got damage reduction, but it doesn't matter. Parang's left for dead. ROCCAT are rooted. They've lost 4. Betsy's running for his life.
Magnificent fight here from the Unicorns. They come in with that teleport flying. Betsy's sustain was great, but in the end, it did not matter. They circle on Unicorn's side. They flank ROCCAT. They take out Steelback, and then Vizicsacsi was truly the MVP of the fight with the flash in the second phase.
So well done. Unicorns of Love instantly punish ROCCAT, and Ace and Baron. They extend that gold lead.
Yeah, honeymoon phase for ROCCAT is officially over. They had the hype for the 2-0, but dreams got crushed. And their faces are telling the tale too, you know. When you watch the player cams, these guys, they lose the motivation. Look at this. Irelia comes in, Steelback, yeah, he can't do anything. He's like, guys, there's a Vladimir on me. Now there's an Irelia dashing in. Like, Move even misses him. Move didn't hit a single target with his ultimate, you know. Went full Moses parting the Red Sea there, but Vizicsacsi just cleans up. Betsy's like, guys, I'm Swain, I have a ton of sustain, I can fight forever, but everybody around him is dying, so there's just too far behind ROCCAT right now. Yeah, the comp can win from ahead, but 1-3-1 from behind just gets put down in the setup phase, and Unicorns have a very easy telegraph fight, you know, with so much crowd control effects.
That's still him. That is Chachi. As we jump in, the observer's having some fun with this Unicorns of Love Hecarim, but the damage graph, that really kind of tells a story. Even though Betsy was able to stay alive, the problem is the rest of his team couldn't. Yeah,
Betsy dealt 5k damage, but it was very evenly spread. You know, Swain's damage comes in waves, and people can always step out if they no longer want to, you know, get hit by that Ravenous Flock, and then it was very easy for Exileh and Vizicsacsi to solo carry the fight.
So Baron buff is up. Unicorns of Love, they can still play the 1-4 if they want to.
Yep, they will. They'll put Chachi on the side lane likely, because he can now just shove in the minions. ROCCAT have some strength in numbers in terms of wave clear. You know, they have the barrels, and Steelback has a couple of shots. So splitting up whenever you're sieging is much better. It's very hard for any composition to truly just whack open one lane straight up, unless you're running a very heavy dive comp. But that's like the likes of like Curse of the Bullet Time, you know? Yeah. Those comps are long gone in League of Legends.
Probably for the better, I think.
I mean, like, they're fantastic when they work, but they're so uninspiring when they get put behind, you know?
And also, you put all your eggs in one basket. So you spend 40 minutes of gameplay waiting for one combination of spells to connect.
I mean, I've played plenty of those comps.
I remember. Yeah. I remember quite well.
Split push just tears them apart. That's one of the main reasons they kind of fell off. Also, the Dragon no longer giving gold. Just it's too hard to force objectives. You know, teams are getting much better at conceding objectives these days. Like,
well, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, you're gonna ace me at the Dragon. You know what? Take the Dragon.
Yeah. We'll just take some farm and a tower somewhere else. Just like that. Chachi, completely uncontested. Nobody from ROCCAT could deal. It's just coming apart at the seams. I mean,
yeah, this is where we look at the next game.
Yeah.
And we look at like still what it means for these teams. We have a fight here, Trevor. Let's look at Betsy flanking. Good W from Betsy. Could extend this game.
Inhibitor's already down. Unstoppable. The onslaught rather jumps onto Betsy. Veritas is exhausted.
Keep your eyes on Chachi.
Betsy. Hemoplate's gonna pop soon. Chachi's still on the Nexus. Nexus turret number 2's down. Move rampages forward. Devastating charge. It's a quadra kill for Veritas. Chachi finishes the base. Unicorns of Love clearly destroy ROCCAT in game number 1.
What a finish. This has to be devastating. You go for like the one YOLO play, and you get ace 45. Ashe gets a quadra kill, and Irelia solos your base here. ROCCAT, big mental blow.
Just very convincing win. You know, Unicorns, they didn't present as many mistakes, so there were less opportunities for ROCCAT to punish. And every time ROCCAT tried to set up a siege or to set up a push, Unicorns had the answer.
Yeah, definitely, but I think it all boiled down to one play. A lot of these games in this weekend have been very easily identifiable where it went wrong on key plays. Like we have the Spice versus that Fnatic series. We had Spice today as well. For me, it all boils down to that like level 1 gank, or level 3 gank rather, where Move is allowed to walk into a lane that has no ward. Parang as a top laner in a very duel-heavy matchup placed a ward in the brush. Like,
it doesn't make sense.
You're not supposed to do that. Like, yeah, surely in solo you can do that and you can win the lanes. Like, yeah, I murdered that guy. The jungler doesn't show up, and then I was like, oh yeah, bad game 2v1. You know, let me 1v1 me, bro. Like, it's not forgiven style, you know.
Nope, not anymore. It's not.
Junglers matter.
Picks and bans. There it is on your screen. 13th pick Ashe ended up being very useful there for Veritas.
Big order.
But I think picks and bans was okay. It just came down to execution, didn't it? I mean, Lane swap, the initial swap away. ROCCAT did okay, but the problem is their side lanes just gave up too much. Chachi got so far ahead, there was very little that they could do.
Yeah, the roam from Hylissang was a surprise.
Yeah.
There was Move getting a free gank. Memento had a farm advantage, but he can never leverage it. Like Nidalee, if she can't really use that farm advantage, like, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Oh yeah, I deal so much more damage than you. I'm not damaging you, therefore it doesn't work. So I think ROCCAT had issues using that Nidalee. She's a lot harder to use. Like if in a meta where all these junglers right now are very utility focused, Rek'Sai, Gragas, and Elise, you see them like almost in every game because Nidalee is permaban. When Nidalee is suddenly open, you have to shift your playstyle, and not only the jungler, it's the laners too. You know, if you're used to getting all these ganks come in early, but suddenly you're having very much a herbivore type of jungler, then obviously you need to change your gameplay patterns or better communicate.
It completely makes sense. It's something that we've seen time and time again between the different Nidalees on the LCS stage. We have a replay that just kind of highlights how far ahead Unicorns of Love were. It is the very last team fight. The thing that was more interesting to me was that Chachi didn't even want to teleport. No. He led his team 4v5 because he knew he could do so much damage.
Yeah, they're catting very well here. Move is going for the ulti. I think this ulti is okay because he zones out Betsy and fears him to the left side. At this point, Unicorns can opt out of the fight if they want to. Steelback was so far away from the fight that he couldn't actually influence it. This is a late game Vladimir that is super fed, and there's just not enough damage on the side of ROCCAT anymore. At this point, the game was over, but hey, it's quadra kill. Let's show that on screen.
Yeah. You've got to do it. As a production team, they love their quadras. Still counts for Veritas. For Unicorns, though, it's kind of expected. I mean, they were the favorite in this matchup, despite the fact ROCCAT won yesterday. They have been a stronger team over a longer period of time in recent.
Yeah, so we need to look at like the next game. Can they consistently close out? You know, can they put ROCCAT farther down with a similar draft? Is ROCCAT going to play utility jungler again? ROCCAT's going to move to the blue side right now. Unicorns on purple. You know, maybe ROCCAT's just going to ban out Nidalee themselves, pick a more conventional meta power pick themselves, and then we can see a different game here. Because I'm not convinced that Unicorns was ultimately that much better in the early game. Like, they were having CS disadvantages across the board, except in that Vizicsacsi lane. So we need to see more here if one crucial mistake in that early game does not get made.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it was the fact that Chachi was so far ahead that allowed every other play to then
It's spillover pressure, you know, especially in a lot of these games when Irelia is pushing in for free. The jungle is even thinking about going there because she'll get 2v1 or Irelia will disengage. Then everybody kind of plays cautious, plays farther back. Like in some of these lanes, if you have a counter pick, like you need to be the one pushing him in the mid game.
And it's so important to note, if ROCCAT lose this one, they're going to be out of playoffs. We'll find out if they do in a moment. Unicorns of Love, they did emerge victorious. When we return, we'll find out if ROCCAT can bounce back. Stay tuned.